I've been at the top for so many years, and now it's like there's times where a lot of people are counting me out, and it just gives me motivation.
Like who?
There's some people out there saying that I can't do it anymore, that LaShawn and Karani are going to take over, but I just use that as motivation and fuel to train harder. I've had great workouts this year. Going into Mount Sac earlier this season, I felt great. I went out there and I opened up. I ran a 44 that early in the season, and I hadn't done that in a few years. So I knew this year was going to be great. And unfortunately, I just haven't had the best weather. And then at I just didn't execute. That was the only thing I didn't do. If I would have executed, I think I would have been right up there with LaShawn and Karani down the home stretch. These last 2 weeks, training's been perfect. Coach Hart's been killing me. So,
like what have you been doing?
We've been doing a lot of strength work still. We did a cutting rest, faster times. So, it's a lot harder than what it usually is. And I've been making my workouts, and Coach Hart says it's been looking like it was in 07. Actually, he's been comparing my times from 07 to this year for those same workouts, and my times this year are actually a little faster than they were in 07. So that's
like what would be like a typical workout?
Well, we did what did we do? We did 2 450s, and he had the pace set at
what was that?
2 450s.
450.
Mm-hmm. And he had the pace set at I think 54 seconds, and we took 9 minutes rest instead of our normal 10 minutes rest. And my first one was 53.6, and my second one was 51.9. So in an 07, I think it was 53.4 and like 52.9 or something like that. So my second one was a lot faster this year with the shorter rest also. So we've been taking a lot of less rest just to make sure that physically and endurance-wise that I'm ready for the rounds and everything. So it just seems like everything's setting up well. Pre was a little setback, but it was more of a mental setback than anything else.
What exactly happened? I'm sorry, pre.
I got out great the first 60, 70, and I eased. I don't want to say I eased back, but I just didn't keep that pace up. So when I got to the 200, I was at 22.2, and usually Coach Hart, especially with the way the weather was there, he really wanted me 21.5. But the fortunate thing was his coach said he was at 22.2, and someone had got Karani at 21.9, so we were all right there with each other. From 2 to 250, they actually started moving, and I still stayed where I was. And so by the time I started coming off the turn and I started making my move, they were already so far ahead of me, there was no way I was going to catch them. So it was just a little mental error right there. And after the race, I was real upset because I knew I could have ran fast there, and I just didn't execute, and it just set me back just a little bit. But I took a day off and just quit thinking about it, and we got back on the track on Monday and had some great workouts this week.
Great.
So what do you have to do tomorrow?
I gotta execute. If I don't execute, it's gonna be a long day. But
keep hearing that over and over again.
Yeah, that's the one thing Coach Hart always talks to us about when it comes to training and meets. We always have to execute, even at practice. The way we practice is the way we run. And as long as I execute at practice, then I'll execute in the meets. And really, I just got to stop thinking. Sometimes when I'm in the race, when I get to a certain point, I keep telling myself I have to do this, I have to do that. And by the time it gets to my brain and tells me to do it, it's already too late. So yeah, it takes a little longer to process. So I just got to go out there and run and not worry about things, and things will fall into place.
So looking forward to tomorrow. You said earlier that Coach Hart has you train such that you'll still be running fast in September. Mm-hmm. With that in mind, how important is time tomorrow?
Time is important, is always important, but at the same time, executing my race and making sure I hit every mark that Coach Hart wants me is more important at this time, because I want to get in a rhythm to where I know I feel comfortable. And going into trials, I want to feel comfortable. Even if I go out there and run 44.8, you know, as long as I keep saying execute it.
Go ahead.
As long as I execute my race and I hit my marks that Coach Hart wants me, you know, it's going to be mentally, it's going to be a great preparation for trials.
What's your 200 meters time tomorrow?
I have no idea yet.
He hasn't told you.
I'll talk to him probably later today or tomorrow morning. Usually I call him or he'll call me when I'm on my way out to the track.
He's not going to be.
No, he's actually at NC this weekend, so he's out there, and but I'll talk to him before the race, before I start warming up, and then after.
Jeremy, do you feel physically any different? Yeah, you should be maturing physically, but are like some reactions any different now that you're a bit older than you used to?
You know, right now I'm feeling a whole lot better than I had these last few years. I had the left knee surgery back in August after my toe injury, and my hamstrings felt so much better this year. And after I had my massage therapist really get down deep into my legs and break up a lot of stuff. So this week my legs have felt so much different than they did the last couple weeks. So they actually felt loose and relaxed a little bit. So when I was at home trying to sleep, my legs were actually relaxed instead of tight the whole night. So I can tell a big difference just because of that, and that's why I know this weekend is going to be a good meet.
Are there some things that come with being a little bit older that are an advantage, and are there things that might be a disadvantage?
Disadvantage for sure. It takes me just a little bit longer just to get in shape than what I used to. I used to after I take my break at the end of the season, by the time I start, I'm still kind of in shape. And now it's kind of the opposite way. It's been taking me a little bit longer. It takes me probably about a month and a half to get where I want to be at. So we kind of start a little earlier. So we used to start in November. This year we started mid-October. So and it's taking me a little more meets this year than what it usually. I used to be able to run 2 or 3 quarters and be where I want to be at. Now I'm having to run 5 or 6. So I got to get back into my college days where we ran and ran and ran and ran. No, it's not going to get any better.
It's not going to get any better.
So, you know, my goal this year was to run more races, but I was going to double at a lot of them, run a 200 and a 4x4. But unfortunately, trying to run a 4x4 at local meets with my training partner is kind of difficult, because if one of them gets hurt, we don't have anyone to back us up. So that kind of threw things out of the way.
Come out to the Northeast, we got a million races around.
Yeah, no.
Do you do more like a massage or anything else?
No, I mean I still do the massages all the time. When I'm at the meets, my massage therapist is usually here. He travels to all the European meets, so I'll see him every day. And when I'm at home, I'll see my physical therapist at least once a week just to make sure I'm in the line.
You mentioned your days at Baylor. Is there anything you take from that experience that still applies today, that you like, a valuable lesson maybe?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I take that a lot of hard work, because a lot of the times I'll tell the Baylor athletes now, I'm like, y'all need to do this, you need to do this. And, you know, when I was at Baylor, I was doing this, and they're like, well, you're an Olympic champion. I'm like, I wasn't when I was at Baylor, though, so I was in the same shoes as y'all were, and I had to work to where I got to. So when I tell them that, I still think about it, and I'm like, you know, I really need to start doing that same thing again, you know, really working at it. The one thing that I had missed the last few years was I didn't have a training partner. I was by myself, and when I was in college training with Daryl Williamson, you know, Daryl was a strength runner and I was a speed runner, so we would help each other out in certain workouts. I would get out, he would sit behind me, and then at a certain point he would pass me, and I would just try and stay up with him. And, you know, it helped a whole lot for both of us. And this year I finally got 2 training partners, Reggie Witherspoon and Marcus Boyd.